Would like to welcome everyone. I'm Olga Tamanova, Media Center, Ukraine in Forum, 10 years of war, 741st day since full-fledged invasion, and today we will present to you the project on training governmental executives to be employed at the deoccupied territories. Tamila Tasheva, representative of the presidential office, and the MIM Business School director with us as well. So, this country gained an experience of governing over deoccupied territories. So both managerial, executive, and governance challenges we're going to face at the deoccupied territories then. Thank you, Olga. Hello, everyone. Thank you for hosting this press conference, and I'm grateful to the journalists for being interested in this topic. So the first thing to start with is that we need to start preparing for the reintegration of the territories that are yet to be deoccupied, because this is not something that we do when we kinetically liberate the territories, but we should start doing it before. In 2022, the president ordered us to start thinking about reintegration policy with a focus on relaunching the performance of public authorities that have to have enough personnel on the payroll to relaunch the operation of those authorities. And those authorities would be needed to document and collect evidence of the crimes committed in Crimea, census information, updates. I mean, we need to look into the titles and property rights, the illegal status of the Russians residing in Crimea, and everything to do with healthcare, education, and this strategy that we believe should be focusing on, and something that we should start doing now, is training cadre reserve for such government institutions to be relaunched in Crimea. The Ministry of Reintegration, the National Agency of the Civil Service, and our representative office, we launched the pilot on creating cadre reserves for deoccupied territories. And this cadre reserve could be joined by anyone who would apply, stating that after the occupation of Kherson, Zaporizhzhia territories, Crimea, Kharkiv region, Donbass. So I would like to work there, give some of my time of life, and applicants could be both people with previous experience of civil service and those who have no such experience. We already have applicants from law enforcement, journalists, businessmen, or war veterans of this Russian-Ukrainian war. And war veterans, of course, are the priority in this whole endeavor. We have launched a number of important projects. One is the academic public governance training curriculum in Shevchenko University, the MA program for post-conflict territory public management. We launched Crim online training program for civil servants. Also, the National Agency of Civil Service launches its training courses as well. So ultimately, we decided to focus on executives, on the managerial positions. And thus we decided to launch it at the International Institute of Management that helped us to come up with this very powerful training program that combines the training practical skills. Ms. Iryna will tell us more about the program itself. It also has some general skills to be honed by future executives, and a substantive portion of the training would focus on the knowledge base needed to work at the deoccupied territories. Well, we plan to launch this training program in April, so we would place call for action to our citizens to apply. The representative office, my office, and the MIM's official site have posted this call for action, but hopefully the official website of the President of Ukraine would also promote this offer. And usually this training program should last 18 to 24 months, but right now it's a more spearheaded and bridged to train people who would be ready to go and start operating at the freshly deoccupied territories of Kherson and Zaporizhia regions. Miss Iryna, share some details about this program, because reintegration process would require diverse skills, security, energy, safety, law enforcement, humanitarian issues. So who would be the applicants? What's the timeline? Well, first of all, I would like to thank everyone, and Tamila in particular, and the Permanent Representative Office of the President of Ukraine to the Autonomous Republic of Crimea for the opportunity to carry out this program. A unique program at that. There is no similar experience worldwide right now in carrying out anything similar. I talked to Croatian partners after the war in Yugoslavia, Balkan War. They also giving it a thought how to train civil servants for after the war. But this war is different. The enemy is different, and different consequences. There's nobody to copycat from. The unique nature of this program is that it's based on 3 pillars: knowledge, skills, networking, Why it's important for us? Because we would like to have a community of at least 100 experts who would be ready to get employed at the occupied territories. But it's important that they feel this network, that it will be a team effort, something that will help us to share best cases. And that's what our teamwork is, what our program focuses on. And the third pillar could be called inspiration, could be called responsibilities, or common values. Because this is, on the one hand, a patriotic program, but also it's aimed at training the experts who are ready to operate at the occupied territories of Ukraine. And those three pillars that the program stands on identify the format, which is online, which would allow to attract experts from across the country. There would be 2 in-person events, kickoff, April the 12th, tentatively, but a hybrid event with online participants. And Ms. Tamila mentioned who we expect to attend this event. Those who are ready to invest their skills, knowledge, and time of their lives, because it shouldn't be just an employment, it has to be a true calling to help reintegrate the occupied territories. So who are those people? People with previous experience working in civil service, those who have experience in business or civil society, also we hope that the indigenous Crimean Tatar people would be involved heavily, also demobilized military, war veterans. That's about the format. Now, the format has a nucleus and specialized modules. The nucleus, the core, would cover main managerial skills, while the specialized modules would be on strategy and safety, economics and innovations, and organizational development and leadership. But we recognize that there would be people willing to attend all 3 specialized modules, which is possible. And you graduate from this program by defending the project, which would be a teamwork. And like I said, 100 applicants broken down into teams, and this team's project should be bankable and actionable. The project that could be used for the integration of the occupied territories. Reintegration is not about the land, it's about the people. That's why we talk about patriotism and inspiration and community. Knowledge is the must and skills. But I'm positive that this pilot, its uniqueness, is that that's just the first step to shape the community of civil servants to be employed at the occupied territories. Could be people who left those territories or still residing. We want to have 100 applicants. Okay, Miss Iryna. Now, more details about those applicants. Any restrictions? Like decrees or educational limitations? Of course, you have to have higher learning degree, college or university diploma. No other restrictions. No gender, no age, no other restrictions. But of course, you have to demonstrate previous life's experience, including certain length of service, somewhere, if not in civil service, in business at least. And this restriction is 7 years of provable experience, work experience. Hopefully, it will be an acceptance competition. We're grateful to our donors because this program is funded by USAID. We're also grateful to our Office of the President for supporting this program as well. So you can apply free of charge. All you need to do is to upload the template of the application rnp.mim.ua, fill in this application and write the motivational letter, which we will read together with the people from the representative office of the President of Ukraine in the Autonomous Republic of Crimea. Also, we want to invite to attend this program those people who would be ready to commit their knowledge, time, efforts, who believe that this is their calling, not a work. Well, this program is aimed at executives, at managers. Of course, we are not dividing chairs here, like who would be the future head of the military civilian administration. No, of course not. But we need to be able to have the right to choose and select from the cadre of people who were shortlisted because they have the needed skill set and length of service. So we want to start with the first 100, and hopefully the competition would show more applicants than we would have places. Similar program is offered by Shevchenko University for people with BA degree, bachelor's degree, and move to MA degree. So basically, people with no life experience, only academic training program to be delivered in 2 years. While in terms of business experience, hopefully, we'll get people experience enough working in public management, media management, business management, NGOs work. Something that we'll be seeking for. Now, the reason why we started shaping up this cadre reserve, well, let me just give you a couple of figures. As of 2014, there were 16,164 civil servants in Crimea. Of course, after the occupation of the territory, those people who worked at the occupied territory discredited themselves and so if we're talking about the grassroots level, at some point of time we will allow them to get involved in future elections, but also after lustration, requalification. But as for the managerial positions, no one who used to have official position would never be re-employed, like principals of schools, chief doctor of the local clinic, managers of utilities companies. We're talking about 50,000 people. That's why when we only started analyzing what we need, like I said, 2022, and how we prepared those policies in the first place, that's we recognize that we need to start preparing it now. That's why we have a number of programs in parallel. An academic program, less than 100 people, but also the pilot project. And they are offered online as additional exposure to reintegration policies, international humanitarian law, all the knowledge and skills that people would have practical use of at the occupied territory. So now, about the competition and selection. Of course, we'll include the tools, the resources of the local authorities, military civilian administrations in particular. We'll also look at the ICC partners and the Office of the President for disseminating the information, asking them to file. We'll ask the Ukrainian government to disseminate this information. So there will be many people involved, and it will be true competition. That's why we need those motivational letters. It will be the pilot, and hopefully it would be good enough to allow us to scale it up. Looking forward, because it's not only the international, the MIM or the Shevchenko University should be involved. We are asking academia and business circles to get involved, because the territory of Crimean Peninsula and other occupied territories will definitely be liberated, deoccupied, and we need to be ready for that. We will have no time after the kinetic liberation for wasting time, for getting up to speed. No, you need to come hit the ground running, as they say. Hit the ground running. So once again, thank you, MIM, and our donors who allow us to run this project. Well, the people of America and USAID, on the one hand, also our colleagues from the Office of the President, and my team, of course, who worked quite proactively at the concept of this program together with the MIM. So when we fill in this cadre reserve, who would be specializing on various regions: Crimea, Donetsk, Lugansk, Kherson. Well, the pilot I mentioned, in compliance with the resolution of the Cabinet Ministers, it was launched back in May. And it was the government decision. The holder of the database of the personnel or cadre reserve is the National Agency of Civil Service, as a line agency responsible for training civil servants at the National School of Public Management. So anyone can file applications, and there will be some regional breakdown. Off the top of my head, 25,000 applications filed already. More than 80% of them with the future employment opportunities in Crimea, and then the 20% for all the other four regions. Also, secondment of civil servants from mainland regions to the occupied territories. So both people from the cadre reserve could be sent there, but also those who could be seconded from, say, Poltava or Chernihiv. Also, there are other government institutions involved from the federal government, like the Ministry of Culture, would establish its own cadre reserve of culture managers. The healthcare ministry will establish their own cadre reserve, their own database of medical practitioners who, and by the way, there would be deficit of people in healthcare sphere. As for law enforcement, they need to follow their own personnel selection procedures. The government communicated with the judiciary promoting the creation of similar cadre reserve when hiring new judges, one of the boxes to be ticked would be, are you ready to be employed in the occupied territories as a judge? If they tick the box, good for them. So it's a comprehensive approach, as it should be. And this educational component is extremely important. We haven't yet deoccupied the territory. We need to offer some motivation to those who would apply to this cadre reserve. And this motivation would be learning new skills. And college business courses are quite expensive, and when the government says look, it would give you exposure to free of charge business college degree. And again, I agree with what Iryna said. it's not only about your readiness to work as a civil servant, but it's like to feel the calling of the cause of relaunching this country. I just recently came from Lviv, where I lectured in Lviv National University, and those students, young people, kept asking, how can we get involved in this revival effort? I said, yeah, in year 4 you can file for such programs, and in particular getting business degree. It's like settlers in the state of Israel. The same would happen with the territory of Crimean Peninsula and other occupied territories. Thanks a lot, colleagues. If by raise of hands. Hello, Olga Apanasenko, Ukrinform. So it should be 18 to 24 months, the duration of the training course. How long will yours be? We'll graduate in September, but it's true training. The core twice a week, specialized courses twice a week. If it's 2 specialized modules, 4 times a week. If it's 3 specialized modules, then it's 6 nights a week. It's gonna be online, and we will record the sessions. But that's true training course, with all that it entails, with homework, with defending the projects. We have also reserved a certain number of hours for invited speakers, guest professors. And hopefully those visiting professors would have something unique to share. So hopefully the representative office of the President to the Republic of Crimea would help us to make those visiting professors represent political leaders of this country, intellectuals, people who will add this component to the usual business training. Are there any resources or understanding how this pilot could be scaled up? Well, we don't know when those territories will be liberated, so how would people keep the knowledge that they will receive at the training class fresh? Well, since this is a pilot, it stipulates we will have a lessons learned component. We will be constantly analyzing how well we selected the applicants, what went well during training course or not. So we'll basically do a needs assessment, what topics and classes during the pilot project were of the biggest interest to the participants. So the pilot will have this research component with a clear feedback from the students. In our pilot performance report, we will recommend next steps. So only then we'll know what's to follow.
I'm Cremonesi from Corriere della Sera, Italian press. Sir, madam, to both of you, but I think one of you before said something which I never heard. How many you estimate are the public servants? I think you refer to Crimea, but maybe of all the occupied territories, who decide to cooperate, to stay with the Russian? Because before you say that, you gave a number, and I'm sorry, maybe I misunderstood. You said there were 61,000 and 50,000 stayed. Is that correct? Stayed with the Russian?
Не зовсім.
Well, not as collaborants. What I mentioned was that until 2014, that is to say, before the Crimean Peninsula was occupied, the total number of Ukrainian authorities in Crimea had employed 16,461 employees. 1616.
Estimate stayed with the Russian to cooperate.
I'm trying to get to this, yeah. So, those 16 plus thousand were Ukrainian civil servants. Some of them left the peninsula straight away, some stayed. According to the Ukrainian legislation, if they continued to work in the occupation authorities, and we don't know who stayed and who don't, but those who stayed, they committed the crime of collaboration. So they collaborated with the occupying authorities. 50,000, the figure, was not about the civil servants, but those people who are working as public servants, as school principals, doctors of state-run clinics, municipal or utilities companies. So 50,000 total number of people paid from the budget, either as public servants, civil servants, or from local administrations and utilities companies. So this is the number, at least, that we will need after the occupation to have in the same places. As to the current situation at the occupied territory, I won't tell you the exact number, but there are 50,000 working, and how many of them will be persecuted, or prosecuted, I mean? Well, administrative or criminal prosecution would be against people who have managerial positions right now. That is to say, ministers or heads of agencies or CEO of the budget state-run company, judges, officers and investigators, but of course not all of those 50,000 that I mentioned. The true figure of those whom will prosecute will be much fewer, but the state of Ukraine will have to prosecute them because they did commit a crime, and or either crime against humanity, crime against the national security. But the predominant number of those public officials would not be prosecuted because they were just residing at the occupied territory. They are the victims of occupation, and this is important to stress.
idea, I'm not saying, talking about specific numbers, of how many could be persecuted? No idea. Talking about less, more than 10,000, less than 5,000?
It's a few thousands of people in occupied territory because they involved in collaboration activities in Crimea. They do crimes against humanity, genocide crimes, crimes of aggression or crimes against human rights. That is why, of course, we are bring to responsibility all these people. But it's not a dozen thousands of people, not. It's a few thousands of people when we say about persons who involved in these decision-making processes.
Дякую вам.
Thank you for this conversation, which proved to be quite useful, and I would like to wish great start for your project, and those who want to apply, please do. The monitor shows the name of the program. You can join it and find your future place at the occupied territory, which would help all of us. Thanks a lot. We are grateful to our forces of defense and security. Glory to Ukraine. Glory to the heroes.